Many Christians have been taught that forgiveness means giving someone unlimited chances to hurt them. They believe that if they create distance, they are failing. This misconception leads to a cycle of pain, where people feel obligated to return to toxic situations under the guise of being a good and forgiving person. They believe that refusing another request or stopping trust means they are bitter. But forgiveness was never meant to leave you completely defenseless. When you carry the burden of constant mistreatment, it weighs heavily on your soul. God does not desire for you to live in constant anxiety and fear. True forgiveness releases the offender from your debt, but it does not require you to remain a target for their continued harmful behavior. Jesus taught mercy, yet he also taught discernment. He loved people deeply, but he did not give everyone the same level of access to his life. Spiritual maturity is learning how to release resentment without returning to a destructive pattern. It is about finding a healthy balance. In this video, we will explore how to forgive sincerely, protect your heart wisely, and stop feeling guilty for refusing to be wounded again. Before we begin, write in the comments, "Lord, teach me to forgive with wisdom." Let this be our prayer as we seek biblical truth together. We must ask God for the wisdom to distinguish between a heart that is bitter and a heart that is simply establishing healthy, godly boundaries. Number 1, forgiveness does not require you to deny the damage. You do not have to pretend that the hurtful action never occurred. Some people begin talking about forgiveness before they are even willing to admit that anything serious happened. They rush to sweep it under the rug. They explain the behavior so thoroughly that the person who caused the pain almost disappears from the story. They make endless excuses for them. They say the person was stressed, confused, or going through a difficult season. While this may be true, it does not erase the reality of the pain. Eventually, the wounded person begins wondering whether they were wrong for feeling hurt at all. They start to doubt their own reality and feelings. Understanding someone's background may help you develop compassion, but it does not transform harmful behavior into acceptable behavior. A person may have experienced rejection in childhood and still be fully responsible for how they choose to treat you today. We can have empathy for someone's past wounds without allowing those wounds to become a license for them to continue hurting us. Someone may be under immense pressure and still be completely wrong for insulting you. Pressure does not justify abusive behavior. A friend may feel insecure and still have absolutely no right to expose your private struggles to other people. Boundaries protect trust. Forgiveness is not the process of inventing excuses until the offense no longer appears real. It requires facing the truth honestly. When Jesus spoke about conflict in Luke 17, he did not command his followers to act as though sin had never occurred. He did not ask us to pretend. He spoke about confronting wrongdoing and extending forgiveness. Both truth and mercy must be present. That balance matters deeply. Without truth, forgiveness becomes enablement. Without mercy, confrontation becomes bitterness. If someone repeatedly humiliated you, manipulated you, or lied to you, you do not need to soften the truth to prove you have a good heart. Real healing begins when you stop saying, "Maybe it was not that bad," and begin saying, "It was painful, and I am bringing it to God." Naming the wound is not the same as worshiping the wound. It simply means you are no longer hiding from reality. You cannot forgive honestly while pretending there is nothing to forgive. Honesty is the first step toward true spiritual freedom. When we bring our pain into the light, we allow God's grace to meet us exactly where we are, rather than where we pretend to be. This brings us to our second major point about the true nature of forgiveness and how it affects our relationships. Number 2, forgiveness changes what you carry, not necessarily who walks beside you. It is an internal work first. Forgiveness is first to work within your own heart. It releases the desire to punish the person personally or seek revenge. It refuses to spend years imagining their failure or wishing harm upon them. It places justice entirely into God's hands. By handing the situation over to God, you free yourself from the heavy chains of bitterness that keep you bound to the past. That inner release is different from deciding what role the person should continue to have in your life. The two are separate. Someone may no longer occupy a close position after breaking trust. You can forgive them completely while still keeping your distance. Another person may remain part of your family while losing access to your private information. You can love them from a safe distance. A former friend may be treated respectfully without being welcomed back into the same level of close friendship as before. This is where many believers become confused. They believe that maintaining distance means their forgiveness has somehow failed. In reality, distance may simply reflect what the experience revealed about the safety and health of the relationship. Suppose you gave someone access to your deepest struggles, and they later used those details to embarrass or manipulate you. Forgiveness may remove the desire to embarrass them in return, but wisdom will prevent you from sharing vulnerable information again. Suppose a person borrowed money several times and never kept their promises. Releasing anger does not mean providing another loan. You can forgive the deception without financing the next one. Forgiveness deals with the debt in your heart, access deals with responsibility. God may ask you to release the bitterness while also showing you that the relationship cannot continue in its previous form. Jesus loved everyone, but he did not entrust himself to everyone. He understood human nature and maintained perfect boundaries. Christians often imagine love as complete openness, assuming that loving people means giving them constant access to everything. They assume love means giving constant access to their time, emotions, home, energy, and private life. Yet Jesus did not live that way. John chapter 2 explains that many people believed in Jesus after seeing his miracles, but he did not entrust himself to them. He knew what was within people. Jesus was not bitter or suspicious because of insecurity, his discernment was simply perfect. Number 3, an apology is a beginning, not proof that everything is changed. We must look for consistent fruit over time. Some apologies sound incredibly powerful in the moment. The person may cry, speak softly, and admit that they miss you deeply. They may promise that the situation will never happen again. Their emotion may awaken your sympathy, especially if you still care. But emotion alone cannot repair a broken pattern of behavior. A person may feel sorry simply because they lost your support. They may regret the consequences of their actions more than the behavior itself. They may be frightened by the distance you kept. Biblical repentance goes much further than simple regret. 2 Corinthians 7 speaks about godly sorrow producing true repentance. Godly sorrow does not merely attempt to remove discomfort, it changes direction entirely. A repentant person is willing to face the damage. They do not apologize and then spend 20 minutes proving that the situation was mostly your fault. They take full ownership. True repentance contains deep humility. The person may not express everything perfectly, but their attitude begins to change. They become teachable and stop demanding immediate trust. They recognize that rebuilding what they damaged will require patience. An apology may open the possibility of reconciliation, but it does not complete the process. Words reveal intention, time reveals character. Consider the story of Joseph. He forgave his brothers without pretending the past never happened. He tested their hearts first. His brothers had hated him, thrown him into a pit, and sold him into slavery. Years later, they arrived in Egypt because of a famine. Joseph did not reveal himself immediately. He observed them, listened to their conversations, and placed them in testing situations. This was not childish revenge. Joseph had the authority to destroy them, but he chose to see if their hearts had truly changed. Only when Judah offered to sacrifice himself for Benjamin did Joseph reveal his identity and begin the process of restoration. David also showed mercy to Saul but did not return to the spear. Saul had become jealous of David and repeatedly tried to kill him. David was forced to live as a fugitive. Later, he had opportunities to take Saul's life, but he refused to seek personal revenge. That was mercy. But after sparing Saul, David did not return to the palace. He kept his distance because he knew Saul was still unsafe. David understood that refusing revenge did not require returning to the same dangerous environment. This is a clear picture of boundaries. Boundaries should be clear, calm, and practical. A healthy boundary is not a speech designed to frighten or control someone else. It is a clear decision about what you will do when a certain behavior occurs. It focuses on managing your own participation. A practical boundary sounds like this: I am willing to discuss the problem, but I will leave if shouting begins. It is clear and firm. The power of a boundary comes from consistency, not dramatic language. When your actions support your words, boundaries become real. If this message encouraged you, subscribe to Pray Path for more biblical guidance about faith, relationships, wisdom, and spiritual growth.